student athletes first. We're going to give Coach an opportunity to make an opening statement, and then we would like for you very much to ask questions of our student athletes first. And when that ends, then we'll let them be dismissed to go back to the locker room. Would you please, when you get the microphone, would you please give your name and your affiliation and ask your question, and then hand the microphone back to our microphone man. Walker will take it back from you and we'll move around. So if you'll just put your hand up when we get ready to go, we'll go. Brad, where are we? We're now joined by the Texas Tech Lady Red Raiders, Coach Marlene Stallings, our players, student athletes, Sydney Goodson, Crystalyn Carr, Brittany Brewer, and Zuri Saunders. Coach, congratulations on the win and your opening thoughts.
Thank you. Well, I am so thrilled for our team, particularly these 4 young ladies sitting up here with me, for doing something really special. Everyone knows we inherited a program that hadn't had the best of times, and they have come so far. 2 of our young ladies sitting up here have career highs, Brittany with 40, Zuri with 25 points. And to set a Big 12 scoring record with the 104 points is just phenomenal. This conference is incredible. It's been around for many, many years. And I'm just so happy for our kids.
Okay, we'll take questions for our student athletes. If you'll put your hand up and your name and your affiliation, please, and we'll go from there. We got a question on the front right-hand side, and then we'll come across the aisle.
Rick Cantu, the Austin American Statesman. Brittany, it looked like one of the keys to the game was your ability to get the offensive rebound. Can you talk about that part of the game, and have you ever had a game similar to this?
I don't think I've had a game similar to this, but definitely the goal as a team was to rebound. And then last game that we played them, I didn't really do my job, and so I knew I had to come out here and give my teammates my all. So, yeah.
We got a question on the aisle left side, about here in the front. Put your hand up so they'll know where you are. Yeah, it's you.
Brittany, you set a record for field goals in the first round, for most field goals in the first round. How does it feel to be able to accomplish a record like that?
That feels awesome. I definitely wasn't expecting that. I just wanted to come back and have a good game, and so, yeah, it's an honor. So.
Got a question on the front. Walker, you might just sit down on the front row when you get a chance, and we'll, yeah.
James Hale, Sports Talk 1400, The Ref. Coach Stallings, obviously with Brittany you had a big advantage with height and things, but you came up with a great game plan too to get her involved and get her going. Could you talk about that a little bit, and coming into the game, how you thought you might get her going, which worked perfectly for you?
Yeah. We'd prefer that we let the student athletes, James, if you don't mind, let the student athletes. You got a question for them? Yeah. All right, we've got a question on the across the aisle, and then we'll take your question back. I apologize. We want to let them go back to the locker room as quickly as we can.
For the other players besides Brittany, so she was having a really big game in the first half, you guys could tell. Did you guys just start feeding her the ball? Like, what was your mindset, seeing that she was having a big game?
I would say that we definitely feed off of each other, and something that we noticed is that Brittany had the hot hand, so obviously you want to keep feeding the hot hand, and she didn't let us down at all. The ball was going through the net for her, and I'm just so proud of everything that she gave for 40 minutes straight. Even if a shot didn't fall, she didn't let that affect her, and she definitely came through for her team today. And even with the other 2 ladies sitting next to me and the rest of my team, it was great. It was a great win, and I feel like it wasn't just one player doing one thing. It was an all-around team win.
Either of the other 2 ladies like to respond to that, please?
No, I mean, absolutely. Like, Brittany's in the gym all the time, and so it's really cool to see her hard work pay off. But like Zuri said, it is a big team effort. But yeah, Britt had the hot hand. We're going to get her the ball. And we were running through plays, and you could hear Coach on the side, "Give it to Brittany, give it to Brittany." You did hear me. Thank you. And so, of course, we want to feed her the ball, and she was knocking down shots, and she made rebounding a lot easier because they were all going in. So.
Feeding off of what Zuri and Sydney said, like she said, she had the high hand, so obviously the ball's going to go to her. And like they said, Coach was screaming really loud, give her the ball. So obviously we're going to give her the ball, and she was hot, so why not? And like they said, it was easy to get the rebounds.
Okay, anything else for our student athletes? And got another question, and then we'll go across the aisle.
Hey, Brittany, I know both you and Zuri both had huge games tonight. Could you talk a little bit how kind of Zuri opened that up for you to have such a big game tonight with her dominant play down low?
Oh yeah, Zuri is dominant down low, and I think when we put her down low, she just proves herself. Like she's done it this whole week against Oklahoma, and then every time we put her down there, she just she's always saying, I'm not a 5, I'm not a 5. I'm like, you can play like a 5 if you want to. She's so good down low. So she opened up a lot, especially for like double teams and stuff like that. So she's awesome.
Rick?
Sydney, Coach alluded to these were not the best of times for this program last year. What do you think was the biggest jump? What led you guys to this point? And Zuri, if you wanted to answer the same question after Sydney does.
I think a lot of it was work ethic and a lot of it had to do with culture. I think this year we're actually all really close. We are really a family. We're all bonded together, and on and off the court we're always hanging out. We're always together, and I think that's fun. And I don't think we understood what working hard at this level looked like or what it meant. And so for us to come together and figure out what that looks like, it's always going to pay off. And so just kind of going through the process and trusting our coaches and buying in, I think made a huge jump for us.
Yeah, just going off of what Sydney said, I think a huge emphasis is just buy-in. As soon as the new coaching staff came in, they said they're not changing, and they're going to always push us regardless of what we're giving them. And that's something that we deeply appreciated, is that they never let us down, so we're not going to let them down. And you can see that with the outcome of this game tonight. We worked our butts off this season to get here, and I feel like it definitely has shown.
Okay, any more questions for student athletes? Because I'm going to let them go back to the locker room. Ladies, congratulations on your win. Go back to the locker room, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, now, James, we'll let you ask your question. I apologize for that.
James
Watch
Hale
your
from
step.
Sports Talk 1400, The Ref. Again, Brittany had such a great game, as obviously you had a height advantage with her. But could you talk about kind of your game plan to get her going in the game?
Well, we started the game with her on the perimeter. She's a very solid three-point shooter for us. And as the game evolved, Zuri hit quite a few shots at the basket. And as the game evolved, we wanted to shift that. So we basically moved Zuri out and allowed her to become more of a screener, put Brittany at the basket. We always felt that Brittany could score against them, but something that Oklahoma does really well is they pack the paint. They're very good in help defense. And we didn't want to start the game with 2 and 3 defenders on Brittany, so we wanted to loosen it up a little bit. Her hitting those shots early really helped with that. It loosened things up a little bit with Zuri scoring and Brittany scoring from the outside. So then we were able to reverse them, and she went to work down there. And she's a very capable scorer. And when she had the one-on-one matchups and even 1-on-2 at times, the secondary defender ended up being a guard a lot. And with her size and height, she was able to shoot over them.
Question on the aisle, the left side.
Tucker Toole, Big 12 coach. I know this is your first Big 12 tournament win as head coach of the Raiders. How does it feel?
Well, it's great. We're here to win. You go to tournaments to win. It's called March Madness for a reason. And I told our team in the pregame talk, there's nothing more exciting than this time of year. There's nothing better than being on this stage in the Big 12 and performing and to have fun and enjoy the moment. Don't look at it as pressure. Look at it as opportunity. And I thought they did a good job of not putting extra pressure on themselves. And again, I'm just so happy for them. I've been coaching a long time, and wins will come and go, but I'm so happy for this group in particular because they had to go through a lot of change to get here today, and be sitting here with a Big 12 record is just tremendous, and I'm so happy for them.
Question on the right.
Coach, did you have to change the culture when you got here? Because a year ago at this time, I never remembered a program being as down as they were when you walked off the stage last year.
Yeah, culture was huge, and it was in every every aspect of their lives, so to speak, for our returners. For our new kids, they don't know any different. But for our returners, it had been pretty rocky. And it was very important that we set the standard. And as Zuri alluded to a few minutes ago, we weren't going to change. We were going to keep that standard, and they were going to have to rise up to our standard. We were not going to drop down to anything that had happened previously. And within that, we put in a lot of accountability. It even shows in our academic. We have above a 3.0 academically, and when I arrived, we were one of the lowest academic female sports on campus. So it was how our ultimate goal is how they approach life, and that's why I coach, is for when they leave us. And the ultimate goal is to help them become better women for when they leave us, and that's not just on the basketball court.
Janae Adams, Big 12. So speaking of what you just said, what are some of those things that you implemented to change the culture? Like you said, the grades changed, attitudes changed. Sydney said it's like a family. So what are some things that, change that?
Well, initially there's a lot of discipline, hard work. The strength and conditioning workouts changed drastically. Accountability, academically. Lots of things fall under that. You could probably write a book. I won't keep everybody in here for all of that. But those are some of the highlights in changing that. And then just our approach to practice. We're very big on treating the practice like a game. Scoring in the hundreds is something that we want to be able to do big picture as our program evolves. We want to be able to do that a lot. We want to be very up-tempo, very fast-paced, and very hard to guard. And we got to see a glimpse of that tonight. A little bit unexpected, but we'll take it. And but there are lots of things that go along with it.
We got a question on the left rear, and then we'll move up just a little bit to the next row.
Christian Nunley, OU Nightly. Coach, the point differential between the first two games was Texas Tech +1. Today you guys were able to beat OU by 20. What was the difference in today's game compared to the rest of the season?
Well, today's game, I think, is just the ability to keep the pace. We thought if we could get into the fourth quarter with the pace the way we wanted, that it would wear on them a little bit. They're in great shape too. I mean, they like to run as well, and I'll certainly give them credit for that. But we thought that we could sustain it better. One of the biggest things we take pride in is our strength and conditioning, and it's one of the areas in the fourth quarter that we like to see separation. And tonight we were able to see that separation, and a lot of those points ended up happening in transition later in the game.
This will be the final question for Coach.
All right, Coach, you've got a quick turnaround for the game tomorrow, and just checking, talk a little bit about facing Baylor, the #1 team in the nation.
I was hoping I would get out of here without that question. I asked for a couple hours before I answered any Baylor questions, but no, Baylor is just, they're loaded. They're deep, they're tall, and they can score at multiple positions, and they're impressive. And it will be a tall task for us, no question about it. And we have great respect for their team and what they've done this season and what they've done for our conference. I want to be very clear on that. I mean, they brought a lot of notoriety to the Big 12 this year with their performance. So we'll let our kids get some food, and the coaches will get to work right away, and we'll put our best game plan together that we can. David versus Goliath.
Okay, Coach, congratulations on the win. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Thank you, and thanks, everyone.
We're now joined by the Oklahoma Sooners coach Sherry Cole and her two student athletes, Anna Yanasu, is that right? Unisa, I'm sorry. And our other student athlete is Maddie Williams. I think that's right, Maddie, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Coach, your thoughts about tonight's game?
First, I want to congratulate Texas Tech. I thought they played incredibly well. Brittany Brewer had an amazing night. She missed, 7 shots? And they averaged making 3 or 4 threes a game and hit 9 tonight. They hit on all cylinders tonight offensively. They were just really, really good. And so I want to congratulate them on their effort. I thought their juniors and seniors, Zuri and Brittany, played like juniors and seniors who have experience, who are hungry, who are nearing the end of their career and don't want it to be over. I thought they really played and led their team, and obviously that's where the majority of their points came from. We had a hard time rebounding against that size. Otherwise, we cleaned up our turnovers from Tuesday night, did a better job there, had a number of assists, but I thought we felt our inability to stop them. We felt it on the offensive end. I felt like the pressure of being unable to get a stop bled into our offense, and we missed some easy looks, layups, open threes that we usually make, and that's youth. That's just youth. You cannot rush the farm. Kids grow when it's time for them to grow, and they mature as they get older, and no matter how badly we would like for it to happen sooner rather than later, it happens when it happens. And I appreciate our team's diligence. These young guys have fought, and they've never given up and continued to learn, and I thought they hit a little bit of a mental wall in terms of adhering to the game plan tonight. Just the moment was a little too large for them. But they're young, and they've gotten some valuable experience this year, and they're going to use that. They're going to use that as fuel, because I can promise you no one in our locker room ever wants to feel like this again.
Okay, we would appreciate if you'd ask questions for our student athletes first, and then we'll let them go. We got a question on the left side, about halfway back on the aisle. Please give your name and affiliation, please.
Ryan Aber from the Oklahoman. Anna, late in the third quarter, you cut the lead to 4, I think, and have a chance to come back and cut it to 2 there after, I think, your steal. What happened after that the game sort of started to get away from you?
I think that would just be us not getting rebounds. They got their boards, and then they went back up and got second shots. So it would be that, and then we did get a little sped up on offense. Like she said, missed a number of different layups, just easy layups that we needed to finish, and I think was the turning point.
Question on the right side aisle.
Rick Cantu, the Austin American Statesman. Anna, I know she's tall, but what separated Brittany from being what she was able to do tonight? Well, why was she that difficult?
I think she just had a really good game. She shot the ball really well. I don't think we were that. We knew she could shoot, but she hit a lot of threes. She hit a lot of open shots, and I'm just props to her for making those shots, knocking them down.
James Hale, Sports Talk 1400 The Ref. Maddie, what was it like trying to guard Brewer and some of the size that they had inside? It had to be frustrating at times for you, especially when they would drop out and she's shooting threes out there.
Yeah, well, sorry. Well, the whole game plan was whenever she did get the ball inside was to go dig it out. If anybody was to get the ball inside, to go dig it out. I think that we relied too much on our help side, and we just kind of were just like, okay, let them catch, and then our help side will be there. And then when it wasn't, because we had to, because they were hitting shots from the outside, then it just kind of went downhill from there.
Got a question on the front?
Tyler Ballman's here with Norman Transcript. For Anna and Maddie both, can you put into words what the season was like? I know it wasn't what anyone wanted, and Sherry said that no one wants to feel that again, but can you kind of please speak to the challenges that it was, and maybe how difficult it was at times?
Yeah, I think it was just challenging trying to find out exactly who we are. We went up, we went down, we've played close games, we've gotten beat by a lot, but just the learning experience that we got this year is really important, and I think it's really going to just accelerate us for next year.
Yeah, I think that this year was a great way for us to see our potential, and before we leave, we're going to win a national championship. So I think we're all looking forward to that.
This is going to be the final question for our student athletes. We'll let them go to the locker room then.
All right. Janae Adams, Big 12. So with that, what's the biggest learning takeaways that you guys have going forward now?
I would say just knowing that we can all score is really important, just to have that confidence, because every single one of us on the floor can score. But we have to just really dial into defending somebody and just fall in love with defending. We all know we can score, but can we all guard? And that's something that we're for sure going to be working on as soon as possible.
Yeah, we can't wait until the off season to put in work, because we all know we've got some work to do, and so that we can come back next year and have a better outcome.
Okay, ladies, congratulations on finishing the season, and best of luck to you. We're going to let you go back to the locker room.
Thank you.
We'll take a few questions for Coach. We got one in the front, and then well, that's right. Go ahead. You're sitting there.
Tucker Toole, Big 12. Coach, I know you spoke to the youth of you guys' squad. What are some takeaways from today's game and this season that you want to bring into next season?
Well, the list is so long, I'm not sure you have time for me to talk about it all. What our guys got was exposure. Exposure to talented teams, exposure to size, exposure to athleticism, exposure to the pace of Big 12 basketball, of Division I basketball. And they got exposed because there was nowhere to hide. We didn't have a guy to go to. You know, every team we play against has a guy to go to, and we didn't have that. And they were so young that our pre-conference schedule was probably way too tough for them and where they are in their career, but you can't, that happens way ahead of time. So it knocked our confidence a little. Not having Anna early, and we didn't have her the entire first semester, affected us a little, because she probably would have become the guy, and has developed so much as a leader. I could talk for a long time about how Anna Yanusa has grown. She's obviously a very talented offensive basketball player, but she's grown in terms of her ability to lead the people around her. There are a number of things that we have to get better at, but we're not as far away as it might appear. There are things that come unraveled because there's just one slip here or there, or just an understanding but an inability to apply an understanding yet. It's a whole bunch of yet, and it turns out, and it looks ugly when you look at that score, and when their two post guys combined to miss 7 or 8 shots on the night, it looks ugly, but we're not that far away. We have some young guys doing some pretty impressive things. Now we have to get tougher, and we've got to find some size, and we've got to fall in love with defending, and the laundry list is long of things that we've got to do. But I'm proud of their fight, and they're going to look back on this year and realize what a pivotal, we all are going to look back on this year and realize what a pivotal year it was for our program and for their growth. They're not going to soon forget how hard this was, and that's what will propel them to make it different.
James.
James Hale, Sports Talk, 1400 The Ref in Norman. Sherry, you mentioned in your opening statements that you thought maybe they got overwhelmed a little bit, with the game plan. Is there one of the reference points maybe when you pulled within 2 or 1 in the third, you guys make a furious rally, it looks like you're getting ready to actually really get into this game, and then all of a sudden you don't make a bucket or 2 and you're down by 5 or 6, and then it just snowballed from there?
Yeah, we panicked. We talked at the timeout about not letting the timeout thwart our momentum, that we had momentum, and you have to continue to hang on to that and make the next play. This play coming out of the timeout's the really important one. But I could sense it even in that timeout, just a little trepidation. they wanted so badly to win and advance here and to play beyond the first day here. And then when we missed a couple of easy shots, then I felt it really, you could cut it with a knife. And again, I think the inability to stop them sort of bleeds into that, and it did turn into a snowball, and they took advantage of it.
Question on the front.
Tyler Palmentier, Norman transcript. Sherry, same question for you. You spoke on it a little bit, but the difficulties and the challenges of this season for you personally or professionally, what were those like this year? It's been a long time since this program has been, 8 wins for a year. What was this like for you?
It was hard, very hard. But at the same time, there were lots of rewards in the growth of these young guys. My job is to teach. My job is not to be frustrated or talk about how difficult it is for me. My job is to teach and coach and lead, and tried really hard to do that. We as a staff have tried really hard to do that, to model realistic optimism. Here are our weaknesses. Here's where we need to get better, but this is what we can do. And hopefully we've cemented that mindset with these young guys that you have to believe, but you also have to be realistic about where your shortcomings are and how you can shore those up. Again, I'm really, really proud of them. Nobody likes to lose. I put myself at the top of that list. There's nothing fun about it. But at the same time, our job is to grow kids, and that's what we're trying to do.
Got time for one final question for Coach.
Ryan Aber from the Oklahoman. Sherry, sort of along those lines, how confident are you that you talked about how close you believe this team is? How confident are you that this can get turned around relatively quickly, whether it's the players that you've got now, the ones you've got coming in, and just the job your staff has to do?
Well, I'm very confident about the future. This is a team that had 2 seniors that played sparingly, no juniors, and everybody else is freshmen and sophomores. I don't know of another team in the country that's in that situation. So this is, it's been tough, and we feel like we hit rock bottom, but from there you spring forward, and there are lots of guys who are close. And when you add that up and they continue to get better, things can happen really quickly. It's a lot of work ethic in the off season where guys have to figure out how to work on their weaknesses and how to compete and how to get tougher. It's also going to look entirely different after these guys have an off season together and can come back next year. And there's no doubt we need to add some size. There's no doubt about that. But we return all of our scoring, all of our rebounding. We return everything, all of our assists, and have 3 guys joining us. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the potential of them.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much for your comment.
Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, sir.
Careful.